Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the Two Goat Show. We're your hosts, Miriah and Steph. Steph, happy Thursday. How you doing?
I'm being slow, but the live chat's gonna hold it down and keep us going here.
Yep, chat. Happy Two Goat Thursday. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you guys have had a great week. Almost time for the weekend for most of y'all. I mean, some of us we just have a weekend every day, or we just work every day, one of the two. But for the most part, it's almost the weekend. I hope everybody's doing great. Catherine, yes, I did want to start the show with this, so thank you for putting that out there. RIP, rest in peace. Jimmy Johnson passed away. It said last night. I'm going to read this little thing real quick. It says, rest in peace, the 49er Hall of Fame DB Jimmy Johnson, who passed last night. One of the best cover corners of the early 70s, three-time first-team All-Pro. He was the leader in picks with 47 until Ronnie Lott came along with 51. Jimmy named to the Hall of Fame in 94. He was 86 years old. So any thoughts, anything you want to say on that, Steph?
I mean, yeah, rest in peace. I didn't really get to watch him play, but always sad when a player
Legend.
dies.
Yep. Of course, we're not old enough to have really watched him play, but things like that, people like that, get passed on from fans to fans to fans. So we definitely knew about him, knew his legacy, knew what he meant to the 49ers. Obviously knew he was a legend. So definitely thoughts and prayers out to, his family, his loved ones. All right. So I want to start off with something that happened today, kind of what brought on the thumbnail. Well, besides the rap beef, which I am going to get your thoughts on that in a minute. But so yesterday, if you were watching mine and TL show, and I'm probably, maybe Steph has talked about this on one of her shows too, I'm not sure, but there's been some online Twitter, I guess, drama with a past 49er, Willie Snead. He's been kind of like the whole last week and a half has really had a lot to say, it seems. So me and TL had talked about it yesterday, how he had put out the tweet saying, talking about that, making it seem that he didn't feel he got to compete with some wide receivers on the team, maybe. Well, today he had put out something, and finally a 49er player, current 49er player, decides to clap back on him. And, I just thought it was funny because it's like, I was telling TL, like, you guys, you know how I am. Of course, I'm pissed off that Willie Snead's up there talking shit. Like, who do you think you are? Like, who on this team did you think that you were going to beat out, or that you think you didn't have a fair competition against, and my whole thing is that when you were given opportunities, you didn't take advantage of those opportunities. And now that you're not on the team, you have something to say about it. You didn't have a problem with signing a new 1-year contract every year. Like, if it was that much of an issue, you hated it there so much, stop coming back. Like, you didn't sign a 3-year contract and we're stuck here. You signed a 1-year deal, a 1-year deal, a 1-year deal. So you chose to keep coming back. Maybe it was your only offer. Who knows? Because you're still jobless as we speak. So take it for what it is. So today he tweets out and says, I need to be back in the AFC North. That brand of football is just different. So Diamador Lenore, shout out to Diamador Lenore, comments back and says, why you sneak dissing? So I thought that was pretty funny. And then Willie Snead has the nerve to answer back and says, "Ain't nobody sneak dissing, Pitbull. Why you stirring the pot?" Willie Snead went on to later tweet about that, he finds it funny that, a lot of, I guess, faithful are in his mentions. A lot of fans are going at him in his mentions, and he's just going to use that as motivation or, blah, blah, blah. What are your whole thoughts on, and, to just, sum up the whole thing, Ray also seemed like he was kind of siding with Willie on this. He said, once you find your people, it'll make you realize why, basically it didn't work out at the other places. But you have to actually be able to find your people. Like, people have to actually want you to play for them. So what are your whole thoughts on the Willie Snead X comments? And with Diamador actually saying something.
Yeah, I mean, Lenore probably noticed the little chirping that Willie Snead was doing on his Twitter account. And even if Snead wasn't sneak dissing or wasn't, throwing a sub at the 49ers with that tweet, I think his response was just because of maybe some of the tweets he had seen earlier about from Snead regarding the 49ers and how he didn't get his opportunity and all that. So yeah, I think it's crazy. You mentioned kind of what has been my stance on it is that don't count your opportunities, make your opportunities count. And you can't say that this team is afraid of competition when literally the last pick in the fucking draft, the third string quarterback was able to make a name for himself and eventually become the starter, the face of the franchise for this team. And not only that, but the 49ers traded Trey Lance, a guy who they, invested a lot in favor of Brock Purdy and having him be the starter. So to say they're afraid of competition is crazy. Now, you also have to be realistic with where the 49ers are in terms of how deep they are. I mean, we know it. We know they're deep as hell. Anyone who signs with this team has to be realistic about that. Like, and where you stand on the depth chart. And that doesn't mean you're not going to get an opportunity, but you got to make those opportunities count because they are going to be limited. Like, yeah, they're going to be limited if you're buried on the depth chart. And if you're arguing that you should be higher up on the depth chart, I think I think not, yeah. respectfully. And I do want to say this, right? Because like a lot of people on social media come after players and they mention them on Twitter, comment on their posts on Instagram. That's whack. I don't like that because like I mean, these players are human too. He has an opinion, one which I don't agree with. I'm here on a podcast talking about it, just because I'm sharing my opinion, but I'm not going and like bashing him for it. Like that's crazy. And I think what Lenore did was just like, I mean, he knows him personally and he felt away obviously about that. So I think that's a little bit different, but yeah, it's kind of crazy. And then for Ray to come out and kind of try to piggyback back off of that was crazy as well, because I'd argue Ray has even less room to talk, because when he got the opportunities, not only did he not make the most of them, at times like he like negative, he going the other way,
Right.
like not knowing assignments and things like that. So yeah, I mean that's my take on it. I think the 49ers have shown that they will welcome competition. Now, every team is guilty of some roster politics here and there.
Right.
But I don't think that's what happened in Willie Snead's case, respectfully.
I agree. I have a clip to play on Dre Greenlaw real quick. Let me bring up this. So Matt Mayoko had tweeted out today that Dre Greenlaw will be honored as the Dwight Clark Award winner on Thursday, May 16th at the California Theater in San Jose. Goes on to say all proceeds go to Golden Heart Funds. So attached to that, Matt Mayoko did a little like interview with Greenlaw talking about his injuries and whatnot. So I just want to play this real quick, and then we'll get your thoughts. We'll give our thoughts on it. And it was nice to see. While I pulled this up, it was nice to see Greenlaw. You know, like the last time we saw him, obviously, was him going down with the injury, like such a horrible like moment for the faithful right then. So it was nice to, you know, actually see him, that he's up, out, about, doing well. All right, so let me share this.
Let's take you back to that Super Bowl. 12 snaps you played in that game. You were all over the field, 3 tackles already. And just, it was one of the more bizarre things I think we've ever seen. Take me through, you know, the punt coverage team makes the tackle. You're ready to take the field. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, I just remember just being ready to take the field and just excited to be out there and just ready to go. And I just took a couple of steps. I guess I took one big step, and then I just kind of felt like, I don't know, I felt like somebody stepped on me or something. So I was kind of like, well, I was in pain. I was like, oh, snap. But then I started thinking about it. I was like, all right, no, I'm not. You know, just kind of, I guess the adrenaline and everything kicked in. And I was like, okay, I just got stepped on. I'm good, you know, because it was actually my right Achilles was hurting earlier, later on the season. Probably about week 17, week 16, I started having a little problems with it. But so whenever I took the step and I felt my Achilles, I mean, for some reason, I just thought it was the right one. And I'm just like, oh, no, somebody stepped on my right Achilles. But, you know, I'm reaching for the left one. And, yeah, it ended up being my left Achilles. So it was just devastating, horrible feeling.
Because it happened during a timeout, or, you know, I think the game was away commercial, and you could see, you know, something going on over there by the sideline, just off your bench, and I could tell that you were in. It seemed more, you know, heartbreak than injury. Right. You seem to be. That's when we could tell, like, oh, there's something bad going on here. So, I mean, playing in the Super Bowl, how just gut-wrenching was that to not be able to help your team finish that game?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, like, that's probably one of the worst feelings that I probably felt. You know what I mean? Try to forget about it a little bit. But, yeah, like, I mean, it definitely is like a just emotional thing, because you know how hard you work for that moment, however, you know, how hard your team worked to get in that moment. And you just know just the feeling and just everything that comes with it, and you're that close to it, and you just can't even go out there to compete. So it just kind of, you feel like you left it, leaving everybody a little bit hanging dry. So yeah, it's one of the things that you just kind of think about. You just kind of try not to cry.
Okay, so like that's so sad for it to end like that, trying not to cry, like, because we know, right? Like, I mean, we don't exactly know, but from what we can see as fans, as outsiders, like, hold on, playing in my ear, like how much work, you know, these guys put into it, and to make, like, the whole reason you're playing and you start from training camp on is to get that chance to play and win a Super Bowl, but to make it to that game, you know, and you finally make it there, and like Matt said, what, 16 plays or 14 plays or whatever in, and like you tear your Achilles, like, oh my God, it's so gut-wrenching. You know, the biggest thing though to me that I took from there is, we all thought, and it came out, right, that he was having problems with his Achilles prior, you know, weeks prior, and then he ends up tearing it. And right there, he tells us that he was having problems with his right Achilles,
right? Yeah,
prior to the injury, and then tears his left. So it wasn't even the same one.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I just assumed it was the same one, but I kind of wish Desi was on to explain that, because, like, I'm sure there's something about and Desi, if you're still watching, if you could drop it in the live chat.
Shit, if you
how
can
maybe
keep
the
on.
stress of like, trying to avoid putting too much pressure on the right one, you're putting more stress on the left. So I don't know if it had anything to do with that, but that's crazy. That makes it even more like unlikely, and more unfortunate. I feel like I don't know. It was just a very freak accident. I feel like,
Uh,
and it was just like gut wrenching.
yeah,
So terrible for him.
and like I don't want to say like I don't want to see it happen to anybody, of course, right? But it's like Dre Greenlaw, and in that article, and I'm guessing further that there's more to the interview. Matt went on to say, ask Dre Greenlaw about like like he goes on to say like I probably wouldn't have been able to stop Travis Kelce, right? Like you can't lock down Travis Kelce. He's like, so you're not going into that game expecting that to happen, but like he could have brought that energy, the what Dre Greenlaw brings to the game, outside of just his amazing plays. Like, of course, we know that he would have had a lot better chance locking up his guys than the guys that came into play for Greenlaw, right? But like not just that, like everything else that Dre Greenlaw brings to this team, like how much he means to the defense, like that dog, that the energy that he brings, like, and that's what he talked about, like that's like that was missing. He went out, and what he brings up outside of the play was missing the rest of the Super Bowl. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and one thing that John Lynch mentioned, and he was talking about the draft when talking about this, but just like about the team and the defense, it's infectious watching a certain guy or someone on the team, just go all out, the work ethic, the energy that they bring, like that's contagious. Like it makes you want to play harder too. And I believe that's the type of energy that Dre Greenlaw felt, and or brings, and I feel like Fred is the same way, but losing Greenlaw, like I and he probably won't admit it, but I feel like it notched him down just a little bit too, because like I mean the guy you've been riding with, your dog, like goes down that way in the Super Bowl, biggest game of your life, and that happens. I mean, yeah,
Fred talked about that, like fucking with him, like mentally, and then him having to just like
that's tough.
Like, oh, it's nothing happened. I got to go out there and play football. Like
then,
you still have a job to do. Like that's yeah.
But then that is also infectious. You see, like the leader of the defense, Fred, and maybe again, like if you can just see it, or if you could just tell something was off with him because of that, I mean, everyone else is gonna be like, oh shit, like what do we do now? Like, I mean, Fred's not even feeling great about this. Like, it's just little things like that. And yeah, it's tough, man. I do think Greenlaw would have definitely made some plays. Look, I don't know if it would change the outcome if he was there, but it certainly would have helped, to have him there. And it really, really sucks.
Let's talk about a little bit about John Lynch. Before even we knew anything about some GM rankings coming out or anything about that, yesterday on the show with TL, we had went through starting with John and Kyle's first draft. We went through each draft, so starting 2017, and graded them from how they look today, instead of just giving them grades right as soon as they're done with a draft and not even knowing what the guys can be yet, right? So we went through, and obviously there were some big misses, but there were some drafts that they freaking killed. Like they did great. Like 2019, like man,
I was gonna say I just know the ones that were good were like some years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But where I know some people are mad, like where the NFL, I guess, is putting John Lynch like in these rankings and whatnot. Where do you think John Lynch ranks up against these other GMs? Do you have him a top 15, top 20, top 10, top 5. Where do you think John Lynch, since he's been here? And keep in mind, this is his first time being GM, right? Like he came straight from the TV booth to being a GM. Never had been anything, right? Not a coach, not besides a player, right? This is his first like behind the scenes job, like with the NFL team. So like to me, like I'm surprised like that people aren't giving him the respect that I think he deserves, because I don't think he's done bad at all. Like, of course, you want to win the Super Bowl. We know. But to get your team to the Super Bowl, especially the team that they've taken over, to be able to get your team to the Super Bowl twice now since you've been a GM, not bad at all, I don't think.
Yeah, I would definitely put him in the top 10. And I think like what kind of sparked this discussion in the last day or so was that Pro Football Network ranking of like the top 10 GMs, and John Lynch was nowhere in sight. And that's crazy to me, because I see someone like John Schneider, for example, Seahawks. What have the Seahawks done?
He's like on there?
Literally what yes, he's 10 at the very least. At like Jason I don't know how to say his name, but the Bucks GM. He's number 9. At least they've won a Super Bowl. Like, recently they were able to get Tom Brady. They've made some moves. Like, okay, I'm not too mad at that. And then it was Brandon Beane of the Bills.
Oh yeah, so John Lynch, they had 11.
They had him 11. Like at the very least, like let's at least put him at 10. Like I know he's better than John Schneider, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What are we even doing? What are we even doing here?
I'm very surprised to see him top 10. And then, like you said, Jason Litch from Tampa Bay Buccaneers is 9. Brandon Beane, Buffalo Bills, is 8. 7 is Mike Brown from the Bengals. Les Snead from the Rams is 6. Brad Holmes from the Lions is 5. So why? Because they finally made it to the playoffs? Like one time.
Yeah, I think this is recency bias, right? Because like Lions, I understand what they did, and that's difficult, like building a team literally from like the ground up. But John Lynch literally did that. So if we're just looking from the standpoint of like the last, I don't know, 3 years, I mean, yeah, this roster's been built. So I guess you wouldn't put John Lynch in the top 10 because of that.
I mean, he still has a Super Bowl appearance in the last 3 years. The Lions don't. They have Brian Gutekunst, whatever his freaking name is, from the Green Bay Packers at 4. We beat them every single year in the playoffs. Every single year. So we know damn well they haven't been to the Super Bowl. 3, Eric DeCosta from the Ravens. They haven't made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Packers one is actually kind of crazy the more that I think about it.
Yeah, like what? 2, which is crazy. 2 is the GM from Kansas City at 2. I would have him number 1 straight off the bat. Like, you're winning back-to-back freaking Super Bowls. How many times they've been to like the Super Bowl? Like,
what
how many times since he's been the GM? Yeah, I don't know. So he's second, and then Howie Roseman from the Eagles is first.
Well, if it makes anyone feel better, everyone in the comments of that post is like, this is a shit list. So there's that. Yeah, that's crazy. But I do think the 49ers past couple drafts have maybe hurt them in the like eyes of draft analysts or just like media, as far as the perception of like being able to sustain, I guess, what they have, but they've done it so far. So I guess I don't really know. Yeah, it's
another list that I've seen, another, type of list type thing that I've seen going around social media the last week or so. This guy has said that his name's Doug. He don't need any more attention than that. had put out that 15 quarterbacks can replace Brock Purdy on the 49ers and be just as good. So it says Doug claims at least 15 quarterbacks would have had a better record than Brock Purdy with the current 49ers offense. So the 49ers record was what last season? They only lost three games.
Yeah.
So he's saying there's 15 other quarterbacks that could have came in and taken this 49ers team to only 2 losses or 1 loss or 0 losses and been better than Brock Purdy. What are your thoughts on that? Because I was looking through, actually, yeah, give me your thoughts. I'm going to pull up the current, all the starting quarterbacks in the NFL right now. And there's a rank. It's how they ranked the quarterbacks at the end of this past season. So I'll just go through and ask, and we'll decide, would they have been better on the 49ers than Brock Purdy or not?
Oh, yeah. Actually, okay. Callie said they're 12-5. Yeah, because they lost 3 in a row, and then they lost to the Ravens, and then they lost to the Rams.
Okay, so 4
last game.
They would have lost. Other quarterbacks would have lost only 4.
Well, let's just say 4 because that last game didn't even matter, so that's why they dropped it. Otherwise, I don't know. Or let's just not even count that one.
So Lamar Jackson. Yes, no?
Oh, what are you asking?
Could he have came onto the 49ers and had a better record than Brock Purdy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Better or same? I mean, that's what I'll say. Better or same.
Because he's saying 15 are better.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dak?
No.
Josh Allen?
Yeah, I think so.
Stafford?
A healthy Stafford, yes.
Tua?
No.
Jared Goff?
No.
Now, keep in mind, all those quarterbacks I just listed, they all ended the season ranked higher than Brock Purdy on the NFL's quarterback rank. CJ Stroud.
Yeah, I love me some Stroud.
Me too. Mahomes, obviously.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I think he could.
Throw up in my mouth stuff. Jordan Love. Better answer this one carefully.
So, yeah, this one's interesting because, like,
this has been a big debate.
Well, his thing was, like, he's very raw to start the season, or just, like, clearly he was learning a lot in season. Part of that also was his receivers learning a lot because, like, the whole team, the whole offense is so young. So I think he would do. I don't know if he would do better than Brock, but I think he would do well. So yeah, I'm gonna say. I would say he could probably do the same, but for the sake of argument, let's just say no.
Okay. TL says we would be undefeated if Mahomes was a quarterback. What's that, TL? Well, this guy ain't even a starting quarterback anymore, so let me don't say him. Jalen Hurts.
No.
Baker.
No.
Trevor.
I don't think so.
Damn, he had 12 fumbles last season.
Yeah, man. Trevor Lawrence. His turnovers is the only reason
14
why.
14 interceptions 14 and 12 fumbles.
And, like, I think he's better than, like, a lot of people perceive him to be. But I can't get over those numbers. Like, turnovers are big in the scheme of the whole game, you know? So I'm gonna say no.
All right. Joe Burrow.
If he's healthy, yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Geno Smith.
No.
Russell Wilson.
No.
Okay, so I don't
I'm
think
just gonna
let me
assume
see,
everyone
Kyler.
beyond this
Let
is
me just say
like
Kyler
no.
because that's probably the only other quarterback on the list worth a damn. Okay, so
Um,
then we got
I would say
one.
no on Kyler though.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 quarterbacks. So would you
Those are
think
the ones
that?
we said yes to.
Yeah. So would you say that Brock is currently a top 10 quarterback in the league?
Yeah, I would. And like the Jordan Love one was like honestly, like I was on the
Yeah.
fence on that one. So
Mhm.
even then,
It still
had I
wouldn't be
said yes for
15.
him, that still would make him a top 10 quarterback. So I
Yeah.
was going through it and I was like, damn, I feel like I'm saying yes to a lot of them, but we also didn't go through the entire list because there were some guys who were like, but yeah, to
Some
me, I
scrubs.
think Brock is in the top 10, and by top 10, like if he's number 10, if he's number 9, fine. Like that's just like, you know, you're arguing small details at that point, but that's Jimmy.
Don't worry, I am not.
not a starting quarterback, so we're good there.
Oh man. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting. Like I don't understand why Brock continues to still get hate or like doubt. Like for what he's done, yeah, it's a limited sample size, but it's like he has a great resume in that little sample size. You know, it's not like he's been up and down. It's like he came over, took over the 49ers, and they've never looked back since. Like, it's not like they've been questioning. Like, up until that point, Kyle Shanahan's entire tenure here so far, always questioning who the damn quarterback was going to be. Is Jimmy going to be our guy? Are they out looking for somebody else? Is he going to get replaced? Always rumors that they're out searching for other guys. It's like since Brock came in and took over that spot, I have never once questioned, oh, Kyle's going to be out looking for somebody else. Even if there was at the very beginning still Kirk Cousins, a little rumors starting, you know, like until that finally got shut down. But it's like I never felt like, oh, we're back to the same old story. Like I finally have felt like, dang, like this is finally what it feels like to have your quarterback, to be secure at quarterback, you know. So it's very odd to me that he continues to receive like the hate, I guess, that he receives, because it's just like, what else do you want the kid to do? You know, like I don't know. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think a lot of it comes from this narrative that anyone can win in this offense. So, I mean, regardless, it's not a Brock Purdy thing. Like, I think any quarterback can come in here and people would have that same narrative that, oh, he's only successful because of this. He has Kyle Shanahan. He has all these weapons. And a lot of that stems from Jimmy Garoppolo having success in San Francisco, because you look at Jimmy now and you look at his stint with the Raiders, like right after he left, like fell flat on his face, you know? So that's where that narrative does kind of have legs. But I mean, obviously we know that Brock is like different. Like he's not Jimmy Garoppolo. He's not on that level that Jimmy Garoppolo was in. There's just something else that he brings that's more than just what he's surrounded by, if that makes sense. Like we see it. I know people who like Brock sees it. I don't know. There's just an intangible about him. Like the man's got aura. And you know, it's something about him.
Another guy that got his own aura is our not quarterback, our wide receiver, Slick Rick. He was invited. So the NFLPA invited 40 players to its annual rookie premiere in Los Angeles from May 16th to 19th. A list provided by the union to teams of players invited, which include the top 4 draft picks from Caleb Williams to Marvin Harrison Jr. So yeah, it's a list of 40 players. Ricky Pearsall is one of them. I want to get your thoughts on that. But before I do, I want to play this Ricky Pearsall video that Brad from the SF Niners posted. Shout out to Brad. It's pretty cool. Let's take a look here.
Like, I need to put myself in a better environment to really excel and reach where I want to go, man. I got high goals and expectations for myself that I feel like I couldn't get if I was around people that wasn't going to push me, man. And for me, this is like, if I'm more motivated than the people around me, something wrong, man. I got to have the same motivation. Like, I really got, like, ambitious mindset when it comes to this shit. Like, and that's what I found out. Like, I'm never satisfied, bro. And, like, it's a blessing and a curse if you think about it, you know, because you can have everything in the world and still not be satisfied. You know what I mean? But, I mean, that's why I put that's like a lot of external things. That's why I put it up to God to handle the rest, you know what I'm saying? Because He's going to be my rock, you feel me? So that's what I would say. But, yeah, man, it's really crazy that it's right there, man. Like,
All right. So your thoughts on Ricky getting invited, obviously, to that, and just, you know, just over Ricky overall. How you feeling about the guy?
Yeah, I'm excited for him, and that's a cool opportunity, obviously, for him to get invited to that. It's cool too because we're gonna get to see him in a Niners jersey for the first time. I don't really know what they do at these, to be quite honest with you. I know they take a picture of the rookies that are invited, but I don't really know what else beyond that. But I still think it's cool for him to get that opportunity and be recognized by the NFL. And I'm excited. I'm excited for him to add something new to this offense, something like we hadn't had before. And I think his skill set fits well with Brock Purdy. I think at Florida, even at ASU, like he was the quarterback's best friend kind of thing. Like not literally, but like on the field, you know what I mean? Maybe off the field too, I don't know. But on the field, like the quarterback had a lot of trust in him, relied on him. So I think there's potential for a similar relationship with Brock Purdy as well. And both of the receivers have connections to Arizona, which I do love because, you know, there's going to be a lot of training with Brock Purdy, offseason training with him in Arizona for years to come. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Like you said, like what he brings to this offense. And it's like, you know, I'm going to continue assuming until a move's made one way or the other. But for right now, you know, Brandon Ayuk and Debo are still a part of this offense. So to think about like what those two guys already bring to this offense and how dangerous, you know, just those two guys were with a random whoever else, you know, what they were playing along. And you take and you add Ricky into that mix. I just feel like, you know, we talk about that the 49ers were already so good, yet, you know, and John Lynch talked about this in his last press conference, like you're still finding what it is to get you that little bit better because, you know, to get you over that hump and finally win the Super Bowl. And it's like, you know, we talk about all the time, it's hard for rookies to make this team, right? With the talent, the amount of talent that we have, especially in a wide receiver room that has Brandon Ayuk and Debo Samuel in there. And, you know, I just think like the way that this kid works and, you know, just his love for the game and him trying to perfect the little things. And like, even just going back to like, you know, like his work ethic going back from when he was at ASU till now Florida, you know, he wasn't a great route runner at ASU and he knew that, you know, and he knew that's what he needed to get better at. And he went and he worked and worked and worked and worked and worked. Now coming out in the draft 4 years later, one of the best route runners coming out in the draft, you know, like that's what we need on this team. And, you know, it's like not just what we're missing in play, but it's like what he's going to bring to that room. You know, like he just talked about, like, I don't want to be the hardest worker in the room because that means the guys around me, they're not working, right? Like you need everybody on that same level. And, you know, if he can, whatever, you know, if he can make the other guys in that room just work 1% harder than what they were working last season or whatnot, you know, like, and damn well if he can bring even better than what Danny Gray obviously has brought to this team. You know, these wide receivers that are just there straggling on at the end of the wide receiver room, it's like we got to get that stuff better. And we finally drafted a kid, hopefully, if he is what we think he could be, that can bring that little bit that we might need, you know, that little bit that this offense might need to just make it that much better. And like you said, if he can build that chemistry with Brock Purdy and they get on the same path, like we know Juwan Jennings is probably gone soon, right? Next season, right? Like Danny Gray, like probably his days are numbered. Who knows what Ronnie Bell is going to do, but like we need that guy that's going to step up and take over this spot now. And hopefully Purdy got his guy.
Yeah, I think so. I'm optimistic about it. And yeah, we talk about the infectious energy, right? And it could go both ways. Like these rookies that come in could be hard workers, and like you said, that could make some of the other wide receivers in the room like, you know, want to step their game up too, and vice versa, right? Could go both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the floor of the wide receiver room got raised a lot this offseason with just the 2 draft picks that they got. And that's like the plan, right? I think that's what they were going for. And then, you know, looking at the next era of this 49ers team and wanting to build some foundation, some new bricks, right? So I think Ricky Pearsall is definitely part of that. And just based on like what we can see from his mindset in that video, right? Like so far, so good. It looks like he's the kind of guy who's going to fall in line with the culture and what the 49ers have done, their standard. So excited about that as well.
Yeah, what's that, like the Raz score or whatever? He was, yeah, like he was way up there in his, right?
He did have a really high one. Let me look it up.
Steph will get it for us right now. Because I remember it being pretty good.
It was 9.91, and this is out of 10, by the way. This ranked 31 out of 3,402 wide receivers from 1987 to today. So that's crazy. That is crazy. That's crazy athleticism right there.
Yep, you love that. Love to see it. Kenny, real quick, and then we're going to get into our who would use. Kenny says, what do you think on this? Any possibility we would ever move on from Debo mid-season if Ricky is balling out and Debo is struggling?
All right, couple layers to this question, or a couple layers to my answer to this question. I don't see Debo struggling this season. The only thing I can see is injury. Like if he suffers an injury, then that obviously derails his season. If it's like season ending or if he misses several weeks. But then I don't know if you can trade him, you know, if he were to get hurt, right? Now, if the 49ers are struggling as a team, and I also don't really see that happening, but if they're on the verge of like maybe not making the playoffs, they might consider it. But mind you, like they lost 3 games in a row at a very close. It was the midpoint of the season. It was by that trade deadline when they lost those 3 games, and then they traded for Chase Young. They still didn't lose hope. So they made a move where they're like, we're still in this thing. We're going to keep going. So I think it would take a lot for the 49ers, I think, to trade Debo mid-year this season, just because I think they see this as their last true the last true chance in this window, right? That's not to say they can't expand the window a little bit, get another window in the next couple years, but I think right now with this core, this is really the last year to get it done. So yeah, I don't see them doing it unless, like I said, like something catastrophic in the season happens and they're starting to tank or something.
Yeah. I'm kind of at it like the same spot that I've been, that since the draft ended, even though there was still rumors circulating, oh, they're still trying to get Debo, Ayuk, yada yada. Like, if we're trading for somebody now that the draft is, or some draft pick now that the draft is over, it's not helping us this season, you know? So the only way I could see it happening is if now, say we're 4, 5, 6 games into the season and somebody goes down with the injury, an O-line, or you know, I don't want to wish bad onto anybody, so I'm not picking a specific person, but you know, like somebody that is a key person to us, you know, moving along, and the rest of our offense is, you know, going along. Like you said, Ricky is shining, doing great things. If they could trade Debo now for a piece that they could bring in that's going to plug into that injury wherever, you know, and it could help us, okay. But other than that, like I just don't see it, because it's not going to help our team this season. Like, losing Debo is not helping our chances to get to the Super Bowl.
Right.
Like, you know, so I definitely see it happening next, you know, off season, but there's not very much you could trade him for to minus like what you're losing from the offense that's going to make this team better. Like, you're having to trade him for a couple pieces, like a couple other players plus, you know, like for it to make sense. And why would the other team want to do that, you know? So yeah. All right, who would use? We're gonna cast a part for Stefan. All right, so we're doing a movie about your life, but in a man is going to play your parts. Okay, so this is going to be Stefan Sanchez's life. What player are you casting to play you?
It has to be a player.
Yes, and it can't be Nick Bosa.
Wow, setting parameters, huh?
Yep, because you cheat.
Let's see. Well,
So
this player obviously has to have some, you know, has to be tan, you know, some melanin in there. So I'm trying to think if there's been any players that have been.
You're welcome,
like,
Kenny. Thanks
they've
for the
had
question.
some Hispanic players. Alfredo Gutierrez, but he's no longer with the team. Fred Warner is Hispanic, but he's like, I don't know. He doesn't. I don't know. I guess Fred.
Just because he has a tan. The white guy can get a tan to play the part. They got spray tan.
Am I that light skin? I guess I'm pretty light skin.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah.
Stop acting like my wife thinks that she's so tan. Like,
hey, it hasn't reached peak summer here yet. Okay, just give it a few weeks.
Funga.
I could see that
but
as
it has
well.
to be a player that has like your vibe, you know, not somebody
My
that's going to come in there and be all
they're playing a
crazy
part,
and you're like,
so no, they're playing a
well,
part.
They gotta be a bad actor.
They gotta play the part. That's tough.
Who do you guys think we're gonna cast to play?
Yeah, help me out. Help me out here. Help me out.
And then we're gonna do the same for me. So who do you guys think? It's gonna be Brian. Brian Lee. That's my dad's name. That's why they named me Miriah, for fun factor.
Jesse Sapalu. I mean, he's got a tan. Got a tan going.
I'm trying to think, because I mean, really, it would be like Bosa seems like he, like, because you're just so chill, you know, like.
That's what I'm saying. But you banned me.
Yeah,
Banned
because you
me
want to
from
use
selecting.
both sides of your answer for everything. Pooney.
Oh,
Huff.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
That's not a bad one, actually. I
A lot of
mean,
people are saying Huff so far.
really? Okay.
Huff will have to shave his head. I don't know how you're gonna feel about that.
I mean, yeah. Damn,
All
everyone's
right.
saying Huff. That's crazy.
Who would you cast to play me?
All right, let's see.
Don't be picking somebody too crazy, because then I'm gonna
Like
know.
what? Who's crazy? I'd say, what about Justin Smith, the cowboy? I mean, you
I
guys
don't
are
know
hella
how he
tall.
acts. I think I act too crazy for him. I'm thinking like Joe Staley.
Yeah, too crazy. Joe Staley. I would even say Steve Young, maybe. That's a good one.
He's a goat, so it'll fit.
Yeah, no complaints. No complaints there.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here, Steph? Any shows you want to plug? Anything else you want to talk about? Let the people know.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do a show with Desi this week, but I'm thinking tomorrow I'll probably go live to kind of recap what we found out from the first day of rookie minicamp. And also Nick Sorensen, 49ers new defensive coordinator, is going to be speaking with the media. So I'll be talking about both those things on my show tomorrow. So make sure you guys tune in. Steph 49K on YouTube.
What are you looking to get out of rookie minicamp?
Anything, man. We're just so starved for information right now that anything would be exciting.
Tell them not to be posting videos and getting in trouble like Diamador Lenore.
I mean, I want to see. I'm interested in the undrafted free agents, seeing who has a chance to be someone and stick around. And then also, just hear about the guys that they drafted. Like, I'm excited for everyone. So I want to hear how all those guys do.
I'm definitely excited to hear from Sorensen. I didn't know that he would be talking, so that's good because we haven't got to hear anything from him ever. So
exactly.
Yeah,
so we have
cool
a bunch of.
Hopefully they ask
the
him
media
good questions, though.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I want to know who's Brandon Staley in all of this. Like, and it seems like he has a lot of influence on the personnel, the defensive personnel that's been added this offseason. What, like, Ada Sorensen, like, what has he contributed himself? Like, or does he kind of like these changes? He on board with it? I don't know. I'm just like so curious how that relationship works.
Yeah, hopefully the media don't fail us that they're so good at doing. All right. Yeah, I think I'm going to try to do a show maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow with Mike Andrews from Nothing But Niners, maybe Saturday, someday in the next couple days. I'm going to get him on here. And now that we have something to talk about with, rookie minicamp coming up, that'll be good. So be on the lookout. Make sure you guys are subscribed to both channels, Steph 49K and 49 Faithfully on YouTube. We greatly appreciate all of you. Chat, you guys have been wonderful, like always. Thank you for bringing the questions, helping us with answers, all the good stuff you guys bring to the comments. We greatly appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Have a safe and wonderful weekend. Me and Steph will be back next week, same time, same place. We're out of here, faithful.
Peace.